Hi. There's like some sirens going on outside. Anyway, today's Monday. What date is it? Monday, February 5th. And I decided that I want to do a week in my life as a full-time student. So I'm gonna try to film like every day this week. Hopefully I can actually do that. But yeah, as I said, today is Monday. I'm currently about to eat breakfast. I also have some coffee. And then I am currently working on a drawing. I don't really know how I'm gonna show this because I'm currently in the middle of the drawing, so I'll probably like show you guys the beginning of the drawing after this clip. But just know that by Monday I was like almost done with it. So today's plan is to finish my drawing because it's due by midnight tonight. I have to submit a photo of it online, and then I have like a bunch of other stuff that I have to do. I have like a bunch of homework, whatever. I'm gonna try to do that if I can. But there's nothing else besides for my drawing that's due tomorrow, except I do have one quiz. So I'm gonna try to do that today or tomorrow. But yeah, I hope you guys will enjoy this video. I'm just gonna take you guys along, and yeah. Also, before I go, I just wanted to show you guys my new shirt. I don't know if you can even see this right now. Hopefully you can. So this is a shirt that I got from like a small business on Etsy. It's from Taylor Swift's song All Too Well, which is like one of my favorite songs. And I love it, and I just wanted to show you guys because it's so cute. So for this drawing that I had to do, the prompt was scale. Basically, we had to draw something that is in a scale that it usually isn't. Like naturally, it wouldn't be that size. And to be able to do that, you basically have to put something that is in its normal scale next to something that is in a larger or smaller scale than what it naturally is supposed to be. So I thought about what to do for a little bit, and I was having kind of a hard time to come up with an idea, which has been very common for this class, because if you watched my last video, I was talking about how a lot of the art for this drawing class has to be conceptual art, which means that there has to be some sort of meaning, like an idea behind the art. You can't just do like a observational drawing. So the drawing that I ended up doing is a self-portrait, and I am sitting in my childhood home in Sweden, and I'm basically kind of like coming out of the house. So I'm like bigger, or not bigger, but kind of like the same size as the house, which is obviously not a normal size for a person to be like the size of their house. And basically I wanted the drawing to represent what it feels like to grow up and to kind of like grow out of your comfort zone, because your childhood home, at least for me personally, was a place with a lot of comfort. And so growing up, you kind of like grow out of that comfort. And I think it was also very symbolic for me because I no longer live in the same country as I grew up in. And so me in this drawing is supposed to represent like me in current time, having kind of like grown out of my comfort zone. That's basically the basic concept of it. I kind of like was working through the idea as I was working on the drawing, but that's the idea that I landed on. And the drawing was kind of difficult to do. I felt like once I was done with it, I wasn't the happiest with it. And when I took it in for critique, my teacher was mentioning that it was a very well rendered drawing, but the cropping of the house was a little bit weird, and I can totally understand that. If I would have included more of the ground, the cropping wouldn't have been as weird. But I was using a reference photo that was kind of like hard to see. Like the ground wasn't really visible in the reference photos. I couldn't really like do that from my imagination, if that makes sense. But overall, I'm very happy with how it turned out, and it was a fun process besides for getting a little bit frustrated here and there, but that's very normal, and I feel like that happens every time I make art. Hi guys, it is currently 3 p.m. I just finished this drawing. There's probably gonna be so much glare, I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, I finished it. I'm pretty happy with it. There's definitely stuff that I think that I could have done differently. I struggled quite a lot with doing the house because there's like so much different light and shadow on that, and I didn't have the best reference photo, so I had to like guess how things would look in certain places. But overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I think it turned out pretty cool. And I had fun with it. Yeah, it was really fun actually. Except for the house, that was like, but other than that, I enjoyed it. So I'm taking it into class tomorrow for critique, and then yeah, that's it. Then I'm gonna do another drawing again. So anyway, for the rest of today, I'm probably just gonna relax. I still have some other schoolwork to do, but there's nothing that's like I need to do right now. So I think I'm gonna go read for a little bit. I wanna finish my book, and then I think I'm gonna make another coffee and drink that and read. That sounds like a really good plan. I also got graphite on my new sweatshirt, but should go away in the wash. So yeah. For my two-dimensional design homework that I had to do for the week, I basically had to do different paint brush strokes with black ink, and long story short, you had to come up with a narrative, and the different paint strokes were supposed to represent a story. I was practicing in my sketchbook for a bit just to learn how to control the brush or like let loose. And if you're wondering, am I questioning the fact that I spent thousands of dollars on this education just to end up doing paint strokes? The answer would be yes. No, not really. It's actually a very creative class. It is the basics of design, so obviously it's not the most complicated things, but I still do feel like it is hard and it is very creative, even though it doesn't look like it on the surface. And I really am enjoying this class.
Police.
Okay, hi guys. Today is Friday. I didn't film that much for the past 2 days because I haven't done that much, I don't think. Yesterday was Thursday, which is the second day I go to class in a week. I only have school twice a week, so it's on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And on Thursdays, I go to school in the morning from 9:30 until 12:50, so it's like a 3-hour and 20-minute class. And then I come back home. I am home for like a few hours, maybe like 4 ish hours, and then I go back to school in the evening at 5:30 until 8 p.m. So it was pretty much a day where I was just like tired, didn't really have the motivation to do anything, but I had stuff to do and I tried to do them, but I couldn't get anything done, which is definitely a problem because today's Friday. I have 4 drawings due on Monday and I haven't started any of them. On top of that, I also don't have any ideas for them. I've tried so hard to think of ideas for these freaking drawings and I just can't think of any. I mean, I can think of some, but I just don't have like any reference for them, so I don't know what to do. I should probably explain to you guys what I'm doing. So I have 2 different projects. The one project is a drawing where I have to incorporate like an angle in the drawing, so it can be like a bird's eye view angle, or like a, what's it called, like worm perspective when you're like looking up on something. It can be like foreshortening. It just has to be a specific angle, and it does sound pretty easy to do that. Like it shouldn't be too hard to, you know, come up with an idea where something is at an angle, right? But the problem is that this class requires you to do conceptual ideas, like conceptual art, so there has to be like some type of meaning behind my drawing, and I don't feel creative in that way. I feel like I just don't really have ideas like that. When I make art, there's like not really a meaning that I'm trying to convey, or like a story. It's usually just me drawing things that I want to draw, that I'm like interested in, you know? So that's the first drawing that I have to do, and then I have to start on my final project, which it's the beginning of the semester, but I guess we're doing like prep stuff for that. I don't really know. So that one is 3 drawings, and it's supposed to be like basically like a comic strip, if that makes sense. It's 3 separate drawings telling one story, and the first scene is like kind of like zoomed out, and then the next drawing is supposed to zoom in a little bit more, and then the third one is zooming in even more, and it's supposed to also tell some sort of story. And I'm just like sitting here like I don't know what to do. So yeah, I guess I'll end the video on Sunday, but I'm probably not going to be done with art by then. So maybe I will end it on Monday, just to be able to show you guys the whole process of the art that I'm about to make. I'm probably gonna spend the entire day drawing, and it's gonna hurt my hand, and I'm going to be suffering. But that's what being a college student is. So yeah, this is a very realistic week in my life. Anyway, I'm gonna go. I'll see you guys when I see you. So I finally came up with some ideas for what I was gonna do for the 3 drawings that I had to do, and it took me a really long time to come up with the idea. As I said in the clips you saw, it was Friday by the time that I finally started working on it, and I had 2 weeks to do it, and I left myself like 4 days to do it or something like that, which was not the smartest decision. But honestly, coming up with ideas is the hardest part for me, especially when you have a class where that's like a requirement, that the ideas are supposed to be creative and meaningful. So I basically ended up doing kind of like these bathroom scenes of me, and I honestly wasn't totally sure what these drawings were supposed to represent. I just knew that I could probably come up with some deep meaning behind them and I would be fine. And I kind of just wanted to do something that I'm not used to doing. I don't do a lot of portraits where the person is in an environment. I usually do portraits where it's just the face of a person. I don't really do backgrounds, so it was definitely a really good challenge for me. But yeah, they were supposed to be sketches that didn't have to be super developed. I think you had to spend around 3 hours on them, and I definitely put in more work than I had to, but I honestly just enjoy drawing and I enjoy doing this, so I was like, it's fine. So yeah, the first drawing that I did turned out really good in my opinion. There was some technical stuff that wasn't looking like it should, like the lore was not in the right perspective and whatnot, but I didn't care too much. Like I definitely cared, but I didn't care to the point where I was like, I need to make this look perfect, because at the end of the day they were supposed to be sketches. Anyway, let me tell you guys about the meaning behind these, even though I don't fully know the meaning. Basically, I just wanted it to be like a visual representation of what goes into how we present ourselves to the world, especially as women. I'm not saying that like everyone puts on makeup or whatever, but for a lot of us, we definitely have to do a lot more work than some people, like putting on makeup, doing our hair, whatever. And obviously I enjoy doing that. I think it's fun and whatnot, but I just wanted this drawing to like present the work that goes into it. And there's definitely some deeper meaning about how we present ourselves to the world. But I feel like I wasn't really conveying that message with my drawings. And I think that was partially because I just had to do something. I was running out of time for my idea and I just needed to go with kind of like the first thing that came to my mind. So I definitely could have pushed the meaning of the drawing a lot more. I don't know exactly how I could have done that. I probably could have like added some words or something to the drawing to make it more apparent what the actual meaning of it was, because without knowing the meaning just by looking at the art, all you can really tell is that they're drawings of me in a bathroom putting on makeup. You know, like there isn't really anything else to go off of if you just look at the drawings, which is basically what this class is trying to do. The teacher is really pushing the point of being like, when someone first looks at your drawing, can they tell what the meaning that you're trying to convey is? And I would say that you probably couldn't do that with my drawings, but as I said, I was kind of like running out of time and just wanted to do something, and I am happy with how my drawings turned out. I definitely think I could have pushed the narrative more and made it a lot more apparent what I wanted to say with my drawings. But yeah, I was just struggling because I had kind of pushed off this project for a bit. Not because I didn't want to get into it or anything like that. It's just, as I've talked about, coming up with creative ideas is really difficult to me. And so I was really like thinking about what to do for so long. And yeah, it took me a really long time to come up with what to do for the drawings. So that is basically why I was kind of like left to the last minute to do them. But without really criticizing the way that I was able to present the meaning of my drawings, I think that they turned out really good. I really enjoy doing more than just a portrait, like actually adding in background and creating more of an atmosphere. I think that that's something that I would love to do in my art. I kind of just feel like I get a little bit lazy with it, and so that's why I usually don't end up doing that. And so I think that this class is really great in that way, that it really pushes me to do stuff that I maybe wouldn't do normally. So I'm very happy that I have this class to kind of like push me out of my comfort zone. I didn't end up filming anything else for this video. There's no outro because I was honestly just not having the best time. There's also one drawing that I didn't end up filming, but I'm also pretty happy with how that turned out. It was supposed to be the drawing that I talked about earlier, where you're supposed to do an angle. It could be like a bird's eye view or a worm perspective where you're like looking up, which is basically what I did. And that idea was also not very well developed, but that's okay. That's what I'm telling myself. And that's the video. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. It was a very hectic week in my life, but I'm happy I was able to get all my art done and all my schoolwork. And I hope you enjoyed coming along with me. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.